Okay, so I'm going to do this video really quick. I got to pick up Noelle from the studio. We actually had an interview today with the newspaper, and so that was really cool. We actually had the photo shoot today at the studio, and then on Monday we have the actual verbal interview, which will be done through Zoom. And that was pretty cool. So I took her this morning, and she's been painting and doing different things, and I've been here, but I saw that's not what this video is about, right? It's been very smoky here, very very bad. The air quality is horrible. We've had a lot of wildfires here. We've had some that were set intentionally, and then we've had the stuff blowing up from California and Oregon. So it's been kind of rough. We haven't had the pink sky and the orange sky stuff that you see, but it's basically just you can't see hardly anything. There's a vantage point that I can look at downtown, and you can't see anything. It's just covered in smoke. But hopefully things get better. It's hard to breathe outside. It's just nasty. But anyway, someone asked me, my take on the ongoing protests and the civil unrest and different things, and is that the best strategy? Should we be doing something different? And it's a long email that this lady wrote, but that was kind of the gist of it, right? Um, and I guess she felt like I wasn't talking about it enough, or something like that, right? But I actually happened to see something today that was posted in a Facebook group that I follow, and I'm like, this is perfect. This came at the right time to kind of sum up how I feel about things. First, let me say, if someone feels the need to peacefully protest, by all means, definitely do so. I think that is the best way to get the message out there for people to listen. I don't think it's the only way. I don't think it's the only solution. But I think that for some, this is obviously a good route to go. And there are a lot of people who are becoming a part of it. My only concern is that I don't want there to be people who use this as the latest trend or fad. There are some people that I feel like are joining these protests just because. But one of the things that happens with these are that you have counter protesters. You have other people who are there who are going to legally be able to do the same thing. And you then have the police, and you typically can have situations that spiral out of control. They often do. And then there can be more issues, problems that happen as a result of that. So those are the things. Now, and I'm going to be bouncing around a little bit. I saw another thing where someone was saying that there was this group of folks saying, and mostly women, black women, saying that black men don't defend black women and that they should do so. And they're not saying, like me defending my sisters or defending my mom if she was alive. They're talking about black men should defend random black women. That if there's a problem, that a person should jump in and defend them, and saying that we're the only men that don't do that. And I disagree with that. I disagree that we're the only men that don't do that. And I also disagree that a person should risk their life and family for someone that they don't know like that. It doesn't make any sense, because you're basically saying that someone who I don't know is more important than my children and my wife. Because if something happens to me defending someone I don't know, especially in a heated situation, I'm risking my life, and based on whatever the circumstances, and that my kids and everything else shouldn't matter. That's just silly to me. And I think that's how everybody sees that. Now, obviously, if someone's in distress, regardless of who they are, obviously, I think a person should step in and try to help. Definitely call the police. But here's one of the big issues, is that a lot of black dudes will not even get involved, because a lot of times you get burned that way. If you get involved in something, you either become a suspect, you get arrested, you get hurt, something happens. So a lot of times black dudes don't get involved in any of that stuff, and they may see something happening but continue going their direction because they don't want to be a part of it. That's just how things are. But let me send Noelle a quick message. Hold on. So back to the whole discussion before, there was something that popped up, and there was a Asian interviewer who was talking to Mr. Chang. Now, I don't know who Mr. Chang is, and I don't know who the interviewer was or what this was in relation to, like where it came from. But Asian interviewer said, "Can you address their concerns, Mr. Chang?" And Mr. Chang replies, "The concerns of black people, yes, I can. The fact is that we all live under a system of white supremacy. We Asian people look back at our long history of conflict with the European. We observe their strategies and develop our own in response and in kind. There's no need for loud mass movements on our part because we intend to overtake them in time through action and personal sacrifice." Asian interviewer, "And the black man?" Mr. Chang says, he does not count into our situation. He is simply here. We do not hate the black man. We just love the Asian man most. Real love, not cliche." So he's saying it's a real thing. It's not just saying that. "We want to see Asian men happy, so we employ him. We eat together. We spend time with each other. We want his kids to be educated. So we invest in our schools that offer our children the technical abilities to change the world's power structure in our favor." Now, I'm going to read the rest of this. Excuse me. When I said that when I give advice for young black men, I'm basically saying the exact same thing. Invest in yourself. And I've said this over and over and over again, because you can definitely go and protest and march and all of that type of stuff. But the change that you're going to see is going to be a very gradual change, if any. If any. Money talks. And when you put yourself in a position where you financially change things in your life, then you're going to see things happen pretty quickly. And this is basically what Mr. Chang is saying, is that, and let me go on because this makes good sense. We want to see the Asian man safe, so we purchase and organize our own communities. We want him to remain Asian, so we reduce the outside influences of other ideologies and cultures. While he fought to sniff behind the white man, the black man has had the opportunity and every right in the world to do the same, but he chooses to indict people like me for not hiring him over my own brothers. For me to do this would be foolish, and that would not be Asian love. In contrast, the black man will fight for the right to be up under everyone else other than other black people who he should feel the most love for. If our indifference to their situation makes us racist, then what would you call the black man's indifference to his own situation? Now, you may agree or disagree with different points and pieces in what was read there. You may not agree with certain pieces, certain aspects, certain words, certain phrases, certain things. But what I took from this was, and I've seen this, I remember I went to I think it was up in Seattle. It was an Asian restaurant. And we knew the people, you know. We were sitting there eating, and a white guy came in and asked if he could have a job. And the lady's like, "Oh, no, I'm sorry, we're not hiring." And they probably were not. But all the people that were in there working were Asian people. And I've seen it where maybe the people who own the place might be Chinese, but some of their workers are Filipino, or they may be from different Asian countries. But Asian nonetheless, right? And some people may say that's obviously wrong. But when you read what this, and I've seen Mexicans do the exact same thing. If you look at construction companies that are owned by Mexicans, they hire other Mexicans. Or lawn care businesses, they hire other Mexicans, typically. It's that same kind of mentality. And some people may disagree with all that. Okay, that's not what I'm here to really discuss. What I'm basically pointing out in this is that this individual is saying that they could spend the time of doing these mass demonstrations and all of these different things, But under this particular country, it's not going to change things. You know, what works in South Korea or Hong Kong or uh, in Nigeria is not going to work here. What works here is, and I don't have any money, I don't have my wallet on me, is money. I don't want to show my credit card. Is this right here. This is what makes the difference. Period. And when I tell folks you should really invest in yourself, be selfish, it means exactly that. Go to school. People dog going to get a degree and say it's stupid, but it really is not. If college is not for you, trade school should be the other option. Be educated. This individual talks about that. When I was in San Francisco, I saw a kindergarten. It was K through, I think, 3 or something like that. And it was an all Asian school. And this is what he's talking about, is that they finance their own school. So therefore they can teach the way that they want to teach, whether it's in a different language, or whether they want to invoke religion, whether they want to, whatever topics. They have control over that. So that's a cornerstone of the community. Then they have grocery stores that have the food that they particularly want. They don't have to ask someone, hey, can you carry this? Or how come you'll have that? Or how come you follow me around? They have what they want. You see what I'm saying? Even though they can go to Walmart or wherever, they don't do that. They may pay more just to have things shipped in, but they know exactly where it's coming from and it's their stuff. And so what he's saying is that they're building communities by investing in each other. And that money stays in the community. It doesn't go and buy Jordans. It doesn't go and buy, a Lexus. It goes to basically build up economic wealth. It doesn't go towards liabilities. And one of the big issues in our community is we spend money on a lot of liabilities, a lot of cars that have no value. Shoes and clothes have no value. And when I say buy land, there's a reason for that. When I say own a business, there's a reason for that. When I say buy a house, there's a reason for that, because all of those are assets. And all of those give you leverage in some sort of way. And so that is how you fight the system. And I've posted on this once before on Facebook, and not many people said much, because folks feel like they're owed something. And you can debate that all day long. But if you're waiting on the U.S. government to act, you're going to be waiting your generation, the next, and the next after that, and then 15 more. It's just not going to happen. There's no incentive. But when you create a community, and not one where it has to be, a thug life community, it can be like in the past. And that's happening now. There are some folks that are trying to do that now because that speaks volumes. Buying big blocks of land someplace and investing in that land, growing food. There was some kids in Chicago, high school kids, who took an old grocery or old liquor store that had been burned out or whatever and turned it into a fresh market where they have vegetables and different things like that, and a food desert, because basically everything's liquor stores. You know what I mean? That type of thing is empowerment. That changes things. They're not asking Whole Foods to come in, because that's never going to happen. They're not asking Kroger and Fred Meyer to come in. That's never going to happen. They brought it there themselves, kids. Now, they got help, financial help from professional football players and different things like that. But that is how you do it. I'm not saying it's the only way. I'm not saying that don't definitely do protests and things like that. But protests come with a whole lot of other things that you have to deal with. This type of thing shows a completely different thing. Again, I'm not saying that people don't find what he's saying controversial. But on the same token, he is generally saying, invest in you, invest in yourself, and take that money and support people who really and truly want to see you succeed. That is how you build up this the system. They're basically, he's saying they've created their own system. So they're somewhat immune, not completely, but they're somewhat immune from certain things, just like what I'm doing. There's certain things that don't impact me as it would my cousin, for example, because I've tried to build immunity on certain things. I don't have someone saying, not anymore, I did. I'm the first one to get fired and the last one to be hired. It's happened enough. I had enough layoffs and people that really shouldn't be in the position that they were in, but yet they're over everybody else. And I had enough of that. To basically say, why can't I take all this education I have, all the experience I have, and invest it in me? It's silly. And so what he's saying makes a lot of sense. Now, again, you may disagree with certain things, certain words, certain terminology, certain beliefs, certain things. Fine. But I do agree with a lot of what he's saying in terms of the fact that you have to, in order to build your community in a way that you would like, in order to have safe streets, you have to invest in the community. It has to have standards. It can't be built around hip hop culture. It can't. It can't. There has to be, because then that attracts other things. When you do the straight lace type deal, that's when people don't really pay much attention to that. And that's what you see in a lot of these Asian enclaves, is the exact same thing. But anyhow, I can go on and on, and I gotta go pick up Noel. Hope I answered your question. I don't disagree with the protest, but I think there's also other things that can definitely be done and should be done. And slowly those things are happening. They need to link together. Some of these folks that have these gardens should be selling to the girls and boys who created that grocery store in Chicago. They should be supplying food to them and different things that can be sold there. Supply them with materials. You see what I'm saying? There are a lot of people I know who make hair care products, and they make soaps, and they make different things. They should be automatically contacting these folks up in Chicago saying, hey, we heard about what's going on. Let's be a part of that. That's what you do. But anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you join the Discord, because we always talk about a lot of different things. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and be safe out there, especially if you're here. Don't be going outside and running around. It's dangerous out there. Until next time, I will see you. Take care.